Alright gamers, this is going to be an introduction to Git and GitHub as it relates to Space Station 13 servers. It's going to be pretty basic and pretty high level, so it should be easy to follow for those of you that haven't done any kind of coding or mapping or spriting before and haven't actually contributed to a server. So anytime you talk about Git or GitHub or development in Space Station 13 in general, you usually get linked to a page that looks like this. And this is a GitHub page. Now there's a distinction to be made between Git and GitHub. Um, I guess the best way to explain it would be GitHub is a website that hosts Git repositories, but you can have a Git repository on your local machine, like the machine in your house. Um, but if you just want to look at what's happening development-wise and you want to look around and poke your nose in things, this website's all you're going to need. But if you actually plan on contributing something to the code, you're going to need to maneuver around here a little bit. So the first place that I'm going to bring your attention, if you look up in the top right of my screen, right under the profile, you're going to see a button here that says fork. And basically what forking does is it takes this copy, so in this case it's Winter Contingency, this Halo server that this video is going to be posted in, and it's going to give you your own copy of this to mess around with as you please. Now, Winter Contingency is in and of itself a fork of TGMC. And what that means is that if you already have a fork of TGMC, just because of the way GitHub is laid out for whatever reason, you won't be able to fork this and TGMC at the same time. I don't know why it's done that way, but it's really kind of annoying. But basically what you're going to want to do is click that fork button, and that's it. You'll have your own repository, and there's that word again. It just means like a collection of code, and it's going to be your local repository. So as you can see here, if I go up to my profile and I clicked on your repositories, it lists all my stupid little repositories here. Most of them are pretty garbage, but if you look here at TGMC Halo, it says that it's forked from Winter Contingency, that repository that we were on earlier. So if we click on this, there we go, bam. Now at the top right, instead of saying Winter Contingency / Winter Contingency, it says my name / TGMC Halo, and that's how you know that you're on in a different repository. And then down here you see forked from blah 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 blah. So once you're here, what you're going to want to do is click on this code button, this green code button here, and this gives you a few options. Right, the one you're going to probably be using is called clone with HTTPS. And what cloning does is it lets you take this online repository. So this isn't on my computer, right? This is hosted online on GitHub servers somewhere. If I were to clone it onto my local machine, like my desktop on my desk right now, I would use this code here in this little box to have a repository on my computer that's not hosted anywhere online that I would then be able to update this online repository with that I can then use to add content to the main repository that I forked from. So in this case, Winter Contingency. So you're going to want to click here on code. And if you're not interested in like having your own repository and you're not interested in contributing, you just want to look around and you just want to mess around, like if you're not super experienced with anything or you have no interest in ever adding much, you can just download this as a zip file and then unpack it, and you can set everything up pretty easily and just run a DMB. That's a DreamMaker executable file, and your server will host pretty much instantly. You can also have the option of opening this with what's called GitHub Desktop, and GitHub Desktop older versions were just mind-bogglingly atrocious, but I think newer versions work much better from what I've heard. But like I said, we're going to want clone with HTTPS, and you're going to copy this link here, right? And from here, you have two options, right? Now, the option that I would highly, highly, highly recommend is to do it in Visual Studio Code. And setting up Visual Studio Code for DreamMaker is super simple, and it gives you all this stuff here like syntax highlighting, and you can actually even compile. Where is it? I don't know, I just know the hotkey, I'm sorry. But yeah, you can compile in VSC instead of compiling in like that god-awful DreamMaker editor, and you get more search functionality and all that stuff. All right, So here we are. Now we're at what you should see when you open this up. And what you can do in here. All right. Now we're here, and let's hope I edited out all that nonsense before, because, you know, that wasn't too pretty. So you're going to come over here into this little button that kind of looks like, well, it's supposed to be like nodes in a network connecting to each other, but I just kind of think of it like that little weird looking tree thing. And you're going to click on Clone Repository. And then you're going to take this link you have up there, and you're going to post it in there. And whenever it's done, I'm not going to do it because I already have a local one. I don't want to mess anything up. You can see it right there. And it'll open it up in like a workspace, and then you can screw around with code there, save things, branch. I'll explain what branching is a little bit later, but do it all very easily from inside VSC and all on like in a visual way, right, with a graphical user interface with a GUI. Now the alternative is to use what's called Git Bash. Or there's other things you can use for this, by all means. I think there is one that just lets you like right-click files in your file browser, but these are the two that I use. So look around if you think both of these are garbage. But basically what you're going to do here is you're going to do git and type out git clone and just paste that in there. You hit enter. And I'm actually going to stop that real quick because I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to overwrite anything. But yeah, I highly recommend using the Visual Studio Code method because it's a bajillion times easier. But if you don't, you can either ping me or like look up common git bash terms, or maybe more accurately, Google the terms that I use here and how to use them. The ones that you're going to be using most commonly are probably git clone, which is the one we just went over, git branch, which is what lets you set aside an area for you to work on a project without affecting the integrity of like the main repository, the main code. So if you screw something up in a branch, you can just delete that branch and your main code's fine. But if you don't use branches, you're going to have to either hit Control Z a bunch of times or just delete your entire local repository and reclone it, which is a massive pain. The other one's going to be git checkout, and basically that's like the companion to git branch. It's what you use to go to a different branch. So if you think of it like you're navigating a tree, git checkout would be to take a path on that tree to a different branch. Committing is when you here, hold on. I'll show you that here. So if you see here, whenever I hover, these are the changes that I've made to my local copy in a branch called stairs, right? And if I hit this button here that's a plus, that stages the changes. And doing this, you can see up here it stage changes. I've already done that on these ones. Down here, I haven't actually staged them yet. Staging in git bash is pretty straightforward. It just normally happens when you do git commit. Whenever you make a commit, it will update a branch on that online copy here. So for example, if I'm on branch stairs, it'll give me, I don't know why those are in there. I know why GH pages, I don't know what those two are. It'll give me a branch up here that's called like stairs. Well, that would be, yeah, stairs. And then whenever I'm done making all those commits, I would make a pull request to the main, yeah, I gotta get back to the main, from the repository that I forked from. So I'd go in here, I'd make a new pull request, right? And I would take this and that, and I would compare one of my branches, right, to one of their branches. So I don't know, like this and that. Compare master. And then I would be able to make a pull request. And what that does, oh here, oh yeah, I'm actually making a pull request to TGMC, not Winter Contingency, which is that Halo server. Yeah, now we're on the Halo server. So you can, all right. So yeah, you hit create pull request, and that's what lets you add or request to add your changes to the new repository. So we go up here to the pull requests in winter contingency right now, and we see one by Loaf a couple minutes ago, which is just fixing our new Travis bot. And then we see another one from Burn Sweet Potato, BSP himself, and here we see his commits, right? And you can make commits to other people's branches. It's just kind of a pain and it's out of the scope of this really basic introductory lesson. So yeah, to summarize, you clone a repository to get it on your machine, right? You make a branch off of that repository to set aside an area where you can work on things without ruining the rest of the code base if you screw something up, right? You stage changes whenever you want to get them ready to put onto that online repository, right? You commit it. I say right a lot. You commit it whenever you're ready to. Let's go back. You commit it whenever you're ready to put it onto your online repository, so not the one on your machine, the one online that anyone can see. And then you make a pull request to whichever server you want to modify whenever you think it's good enough and you want to submit it for review. And then if they accept your pull request, they do what's called merging. And basically that merges your branch into a branch on, so it merges all the changes you made just in that branch onto one of the branches of the server, whichever one you selected in that previous pull request screen, and it'll be live. It'll be on the main repository. Um, that's a very, very basic introduction to the kind of flow of information from getting stuff online, having it on your local machine, and then putting it back online, if that makes sense. Um, it's a lot of terminology to memorize, and I don't know all of the terminology yet. I still Google things. So if you see a phrase, like if you're looking around source control in here, and you're like, what does stage mean when it comes to Git? All right, you can be like, what does stage mean in Git? And just do some research. And so many people have had this like slog through the hell that is Git management that you are absolutely certain to find someone who has had your same question. Failing that, the Coder Bus Discord, if you're in that, is a Space Station 13 Discord for coders, and they have a ton of questions about Git asked there all the time. And I'm certain there would be someone there willing to help you if you have a specific issue. If you're watching this video in the Halo server, you can ping someone who is a contributor and makes frequent contributions, and I'm certain that they'd be able to help you out. And I'll try to make a video at some point explaining more in depth the workflow when I actually have something to put on there, because it's kind of difficult to explain it without going through the process and being able to show that, because I don't want to like make a pull request of something that's completely broken. So yeah, again, I'll summarize it again, even though I just did it before. Right? You fork your copy, you clone it to your local computer. Right? You make a branch, you update that branch, you commit that branch after you stage changes, you commit that branch to your online copy, and then you make a pull request. I don't think I can get more succinct than that, and at this point I'm just rambling. So yeah, I'll try to make some more of these videos at some other point for people who are interested in contributing but don't really know where to start. I'd say that learning Git and Git management is probably one of the biggest obstacles if you're doing something like spriting or like mapping. Not that spriting and mapping are necessarily easy. It's just that for them, there's not a lot of terminology necessarily to memorize. It comes from a more creative place, I'd say. If you're trying to learn how to code, you better be ready to memorize a lot more stupid trivia. That's it.